a span of just 2 years, this young man has gone from relative unknown to superstardom around the world.
Conor McGregor is one of the most polarizing figures in MMA history, a fighter whose skills, accomplishments and controversies have made him a household name. But beyond the hype, the trash talk and the whiskey promotions, where does he truly stand as a mixed martial artist? Today we're breaking it all down: his technical skill set, career achievements, impact on MMA and legacy.
Unbelievable!
McGregor's strengths as a fighter are clear: precision striking, movement, and fight IQ. Known for his southpaw stance and devastating left hand, McGregor's striking is arguably his most defining attribute in the ring. He has an uncanny ability to read opponents and exploit openings. He predicted exactly how multiple matches in his career would end, including his famous Jose Aldo first-round knockout at UFC 194. That left-hand counter is one of the most iconic moments in MMA history, showcasing his timing, composure, and ability to deliver under pressure. But McGregor's striking isn't lethal because of his power. He has unorthodox movement with traditional boxing fundamentals that will pick apart anyone not studying his tapes. Against Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205, where he became the first simultaneous two-division champion in UFC history, McGregor put on a striking clinic.
He's done. He's done. History has been made!
He mixed straight punches, angles and feints with near-flawless execution. Alvarez, who at this point was a seasoned veteran, looked completely outclassed, unable to find an answer to McGregor's precision. However, McGregor's weaknesses are just as apparent. His ground game, while improved over time, has always been a vulnerability. In his loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 229, McGregor's inability to defend takedowns and survive prolonged grappling exchanges was glaring. Khabib dominated him on the mat, eventually finishing the fight with a neck crank in the 4th round.
There's the tap! Still undisputed!
McGregor's stamina has also been questioned, most notably in his first fight against Nate Diaz at UFC 196. After a strong first round, McGregor's cardio faded and Diaz's durability and grappling overwhelmed him, leading to a rear naked choke submission in the 2nd round. Other fighters like Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier have shown more well-rounded games, with Holloway excelling in volume striking and Poirier demonstrating exceptional boxing and grappling transitions. McGregor's style relies heavily on his ability to dictate the fight's pace and distance, but when forced into prolonged battles, his deficiencies become apparent. Conor McGregor's rise to fame is nothing short of extraordinary. Coming from humble beginnings in Dublin, Ireland, he quickly made a name for himself in the Cage Warriors promotion, becoming a two-division champion before signing with the UFC. His UFC debut against Marcus Brimage in 2013 showcased the flashy striking style that would define his career, as he finished Brimage with a first-round TKO. McGregor's most significant accomplishment is undoubtedly becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold titles in 2 weight classes simultaneously. His featherweight run was capped by the aforementioned knockout of Jose Aldo, a fighter who hadn't lost in over a decade. At lightweight, his dismantling of Eddie Alvarez cemented his legacy as one of the sport's greatest showmen and performers. However, some critics argue that McGregor's accomplishments are inflated by hype. For instance, his rise at featherweight came during a transitional period for the division, and he never defended either of his belts. Fighters like Alexander Volkanovski, who have dominated their divisions for years, may surpass McGregor in terms of sustained excellence. Similarly, McGregor's losses to top-tier fighters like Khabib and Dustin Poirier raise questions about whether he can compete with the best when his striking advantage is neutralized. There's no denying that McGregor has had a monumental impact on the sport of MMA. He brought unprecedented attention to the UFC, breaking pay-per-view records and elevating fighter salaries. His crossover boxing match with Floyd Mayweather Jr. in 2017 was a global spectacle, showcasing his ability to transcend MMA and become a mainstream star. But if you haven't noticed, his impact is all outside of the ring. Fighters like John Jones, who is known for popularizing oblique kicks, made their impact in the ring. If you want to hear more about John Jones, be sure to check out my last video. From a technical standpoint, McGregor's striking style and movement weren't really revolutionary. In fact, his striking had a drastic fall-off after his fight with Floyd. Conor lost the thing that set him apart from other MMA fighters. He went from someone with a strong emphasis on precision, angles, and mental warfare to just another average UFC fighter. True great fighters such as Georges St-Pierre you can watch evolve throughout their career where Conor has only regressed.
It was a wild fight for as long as it lasted. I'm sure you'll be back.
His prime years from 2013 to 2016 were undeniably spectacular, but his losses to Dustin Poirier both in 2021 and both via TKO highlighted his struggles to adapt and evolve as time went on. Fighters like Anderson Silva sustained success over much longer periods. This makes it pretty much impossible to put Conor in a discussion for even top 10 of all time. Conor McGregor's legacy is one of extremes. While his technical skill and achievements inside the octagon are significant, his broader influence on sports culture is unparalleled. To understand his place in the pantheon of athletes, consider this: McGregor is to MMA what Mike Tyson was to boxing, rape accusation and all, or what Allen Iverson was to basketball, a transformative figure whose influence transcends their respective sport. His ability to dominate headlines and redefine what it means to be a superstar fighter sets him apart. However, his legacy is not without flaws. Unlike Muhammad Ali, who was both a cultural icon and an enduring champion, McGregor's competitive record in the latter stages of his career has tarnished his fighting reputation. And I don't want anyone to take this as me implying you can't lose. I am also factoring in how he looked during those losses. After he fought Floyd in 2017, he looked like a different guy in the ring. He was slower, his movement was far worse, he threw less leg kicks. All of that boxing training didn't only catch up to him, it ruined him. Georges St-Pierre and Anderson Silva put him to shame, even though they lost fights due to their dominance and well-rounded skill sets. Georges St-Pierre got knocked out by an awful fighter in my opinion, and he is still the GOAT. So, how good was Conor McGregor? I would rate him a 7 out of 10 in the octagon, but honestly I am leaning towards a 6. Although Conor was a special athlete, his fall off is just egregious. He couldn't adapt, and adaptation is a crucial skill in any competition. Out of 10 fighters like Georges St-Pierre and John Jones dominated for over a decade, while McGregor's most impactful years spanned only about 3. He had an elite combination of precision, power and psychological dominance in such a short window, but his grappling and stamina were disappointing to say the least, and it didn't look like he even tried to improve after he got his $130 million payday from Mayweather. If you want to hear about better fighters than Conor, click the videos on the screen, and be sure to subscribe.